What's going on YouTube? Jesse Joan here. Actually switching all my rods out from this past Chautauqua tournament for the ABA and getting ready to start fishing some tournaments close to home. We have a open tournament on the Chautauqua River Lake. It's one of my favorite lakes to fish. Actually, it's not one of my favorite, but I do pretty well there. So I'm basically getting my rods ready for that. And it had me thinking about Chautauqua Lake and some of the things I did right and a few things I did wrong in that tournament. And you know, I started a YouTube channel really to help people, and you guys can learn from my mistakes and my successes. I see a lot of YouTube channels that seems like people read an article from Bassmaster magazine and regurgitate that information onto a video and put it on YouTube, and I don't want to do that. And some things happened at the Chautauqua Lake tournament that I just don't think I got on video, but I want to explain them to you. There was 3 things I really took away from that tournament that is going to make me a better angler going forward. The first one was pretty simple, but I don't know how many people would actually think of doing it. I'm experimenting with a grass chatterbait rod. So I'm playing with a couple rods. I have one I kind of like, but in practice I was throwing a new rod. I had 4 chatterbait bites. I only got 1 of them in the boat. And the problem was I had the right line, the right reel, everything on that new rod for the chatterbait. So would it have been really lazy of me to say, nah, they just come off, it is what it is? Yeah, I could have. But instead I was throwing my regular chatterbait rod, my Cashin I used for years to rip chatterbaits out of the grass with. Well, I had heavy line on it and a swim jig. So I had to basically, you know, break down both those rods to swap them. So it took a little bit of time, you know, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever it was, to swap reels, swap line, do, you know, is what it is. And it was a huge key. By switching that setup around, I was able to go from, you know, 25%, you know, hook to land ratio to 100%. In the tournament, I had 2 bites on that chatterbait, and I got both those fish in the boat, and I ended up weighing in both those fish, which was huge. And the way my day went, if you watch those videos, I will leave a link to those videos in the description. But I had a really, you know, roller coaster ride of a day. If I lose one of those fish in the morning, who knows where the day goes from there. I probably really spin out and probably don't finish 3rd. So another crucial decision that was a successful one for me in the Chautauqua tournament was at the very end of the day, I put 3 in the boat in a matter of half an hour. And as soon as I put the 5th fish in the boat, I switched baits. I went to my big fish bait to try to get a kicker. Wasn't really trying to get a kicker. It was more giving those fish a different look in that area. I knew I found some fish. They were active. The ones that wanted, you know, a flipping bait, they bit. And I really wanted to target ones that maybe wanted a different presentation. I see a lot of guys, you know, have quick success with that, and they'll lock it in their hands for the rest of the day. Especially, you know, when you only have a half hour to fish, you probably lock it in your hands. It would have been really easy to turn around and kept that, you know, flipping bait in my hand and went down through that grass again and hope that get another one. Instead, what I did was I completely changed techniques and picked up a swim jig, ended up putting a 4.5 pounder in the boat. It was a great decision, and it was actually the one that put me over the top and really put me high in the standings. So now those 2 decisions were awesome decisions. They paid off in the tournament, but there was also some stuff I could have done better. One of which was, you know, basically my game plan. Going into this tournament, I had an idea of an area of the lake that was probably pretty good. We fished a team tournament 2 weeks ago, and I always preach about staying in front of the fish and don't fish history, and I'm a big believer of that, but I messed up. Going into this tournament, I knew from 2 weeks ago where the area of the lake that produced a winning bag and 2nd place come from the same area. We fished it 2 weeks ago. We struggled, but I knew kind of where it was going down at. So going into practice, I started real close to the boat ramp. In that little area of the lake, I had 4 bites right away and left. I was only there for about half an hour. Went up north, got to that area, heading into it from one side, I had a bite. It was just a keeper. Left it, went to the other side of it, worked my way to it from the other side, and had another bite, and then I shook one off. So I knew that was the deal. Well, unfortunately, all of practice, I only had 8 bites up north. At the end of the day, I come back to that mid area, that mid lake area right around the launch, and I actually had 4 more bites. The area where I ended the day in the tournament, that grass line, I stopped right there, put one in the boat, shook one more off, and then I actually started fishing some docks in that area, and in between 2 docks I caught a 3.5 pounder, and then I caught another keeper, and that was all in like an hour. So in total I had 8 bites in that area of the lake in an hour and a half of the day. The other 7 hours I spent up north, I had 8 bites. I should have game planned better in the tournament and knew that this area was better than up north, but because I had a preconceived notion coming into the tournament that that area up north was better, I caught 2 fish real close to the boat ramp first thing in the morning. It wasn't until the last hour when I come back to that area that I was able to put some fish in the boat and actually have a pretty good tournament. Who knows what could have been if I would have spent my entire tournament in that area. Looking back, that's what I wish I would have at least spent more time in there. I feel like I really screwed up. So it's definitely something I could have done better. And if that's the one mistake that held me from winning this tournament, that was probably it. So I hope you guys learned something from this tournament and this breakdown in my decision making. I know I learned a lot from this past tournament that will make me a better angler. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, drop me a comment down below. I got to finish packing up for the yacht, so we'll see you there.